All right. So welcome everyone. We're really excited to connect with you. My name is Stacy Hoyt, CSEP and CMP. I am the chair of the CSEP committee, and have been, this is my second year in that role. Also, this year, about halfway through the ILEA fiscal year, I was invited to join the Board of Governors. Um, and the reason I think they asked me to do that is because they recognized that CSEP really needed some attention and leadership. So I accepted the role in the short term, and then I applied for a role on the Board of Governors for the next 3 years. So I'm going to be on the Board of Governors and presumably leading the charge of the CSEP program for the next 3 years. I'm very excited and honored to have that opportunity. So today I am joined by two of my committee members on the CSEP committee. I have Elise Luddy and Nick Peter here with us today, and they're going to help me with the presentation. The purpose of the meeting is to support the existing CSEPs. We want to make sure you're getting the most out of your hard-earned certification. And we're also interested in understanding additional ways that you may need support or what we can do for you. So this is the official blurb of the CSEP program. It was established in 1993 to recognize event professionals who have successfully demonstrated knowledge, skills, and ability essential to perform all components of a special event. We are, of course, endorsed and managed by ILEA, and we are all volunteers. Let's go ahead to the next slide. This is the overall agenda. We are going to talk about benefits. We have some testimonials and recommendations on how to elevate your visibility and also to become a thought leader. And then we definitely will have time for questions at the end. Let's go ahead to the next slide. All right, so I kind of want to have a understanding of who all we have here. I recognize some of you, but not all of you. Of the folks that are here today, how many of you are new CSEPs? And when I say new, I'm thinking within the past 3 years, which is kind of like the dawn of the new revised test. You can put it in the chat or you can use a React thing. I know that Elise took the new test and passed it, and Brandon, and also probably Jason, right?
From the new test, yep.
And Florence also. Okay, great. And how many of you are...
And Erica.
Oh, and Erica. So I guess on the flip side of that, how many of you have been CSEP for a while? Myself, Nick, Jody, I'm sure that you have been around for a while. Melissa?
Yes, sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty.
It's okay.
I took it in 2008, so I took the original exam back when it was written.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, and I took it before that, so.
Yeah, I was right on the edge after they stopped doing portfolios. So that's like...
I did that.
You did the portfolio?
Yeah.
Thing? Yeah, so it's come a long way. The test has come a long way. So I'm glad we kind of have a few folks that have been around for a while, a few folks that are newer. Let's go back to the slides. and we can go next. All right, so just kind of start from an overview of the benefits of the CSEP. This is what we are projecting out. We the benefits include establishing credibility, belonging to an elite network, giving back to the industry, demonstrating achievement, and accelerating professional development. So testimonials. Well, I get to start first. I was someone who transitioned. I had a career in technical theater before I decided to focus on events. And for me, after I had been in the industry, in the events industry for a while, I really kind of got to a point where I felt like I knew what I was doing. And I really wanted to prove to myself that, yes, I did know what I was doing, to kind of conquer, that imposter syndrome that I think we all kind of face at one point or another. So I took the plunge, and I cannot specifically point to an opportunity or a job that, oh, you got that job because of your certification. But I really do deep down think that it has helped me. My career, after a lot of different things, prior to my current job, I was at the Blanton Museum of Art, doing special event planning for them. And I got laid off in the pandemic, and I was really worried, but my job currently, they sought me out. Like I didn't hear about the job and have to apply. They actually reached out to me and said, you would be the perfect person to start this venue rental program at our brand new facility. I work at a radio station that has a venue. And so they were very, very interested in me, maybe partly because of my designation or just the respect that I had in our ILEA community. But I do think that it's helped. I also was awarded by the chapter. I'm in the ILEA Austin Chapter Hall of Fame. I don't know if I would have gotten that without the designation, but I have been very much a champion of CSEP with the chapter. So I really enjoy being part of this elite group. I'm very community focused, and I have a very dear community, both within the ILEA local chapter, and then beyond that into the more global ILEA, and the CSEP is part of that. So that is super important to me. And as we move forward, we're really going to try to do more CSEP exclusive, at least networking opportunities when we gather for our conferences, so that we can really work on deepening those bonds between CSEPs. So I'm gonna pass it off to Nick.
Yeah, hello everyone. Nick Peter. I'm currently the event and facility sales manager at the Minnesota Orchestra. So Stacy and I have some similar backgrounds in terms of the classical realm of things and performing arts and things like that. And so I wrote here a little about why I think CSEP designation is important to the work I do. I deal with a lot of nonprofit partners and organizations, but also a lot of corporate planners. Those that have other designations, either destination management, CMP, et cetera. So I find it really helpful to have the CSEP because it puts me on kind of a level ground, or a, understanding that we both understand the logistics of the event and the things that need to happen. Starting really beginning with the sales process. Again, sometimes when you work for a nonprofit, it might be that thought that, oh, that person is, just an admin person that is, renting out the space or taking in the inquiries or answering the email inbox. it's helpful to have my designation to kind of start that process off on the right foot. So I will pass it off to Elise.
Hi guys, my name's Elise. I'm a nonprofit events professional. Been that for a long time. I got my CSEP because I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, kind of like what Stacy was saying. But I really thought that it elevated our industry as a whole. So, and I was super proud when I passed it. I was actually really shocked when I passed it. Jason and I were talking earlier, and it was just one of those things we did it, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's really why I think it's important. So hopefully you guys feel the same. And then is anybody, let's see, what was the next thing? Does anyone want to share their own testimony about what CSEP works for you or why they got it?
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah. Gwen.
Oh, Jody's got her hand up.
No, Jody's. I didn't see it. Go ahead, Jody.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So I got mine back in 2014, maybe 2013. I can't remember the year. I got to look back. I just renewed and I should know. I did it because I worked in an academic institution where if you didn't have a bunch of numbers or letters behind your name, you weren't really considered a professional. And I also had a nice bucket of money that was going to expire when my most recent contract was. And I looked for the right certificate. I could do it in a timely fashion. And I loved being able to study on my own and achieve it. And so, yeah, I did the old test where you had part 1 and part 2. Part 2 was like building a project plan. Yeah, it was challenging. I failed the first time by 1 point in the part 1, those damn definitions. And then I did it again. I think I had to wait 6 weeks or 4 weeks or something. I did it again. I'm like, I can do this. I know I can. So, yeah, it was, and it really worked for me because it added credibility in an educational institution where people had masters and PhDs, and I don't even know how many times I heard my last position. Well, Jody's the expert. So we should defer to Jody. And I loved that. That was great. That really validated the work I did. I was on the CSEP committee. I was chair of that committee, and I helped develop the CSE prep course and delivered that, I think 5 or 6 times. I think there's a couple of you, including you, that took that course. Yeah. And Jason, I know was there. And I recognized a couple of other names, and I'm not too sure. Is it Erica? Did Erica take it as well?
I did, yes.
Yeah. And then Nick, I think, took one of the very first ones I did, which we called CSP Around the World. So that's pretty cool that you're all here.
Yep.
You helped us pass, Jody. Look at us.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I think there was about 120 or 130 people that went through that CSEP prep course. And then it was put on pause for whatever reason. I was a little disappointed. I loved the teaching, and now I'm teaching a new breed of newbies in the industry with Mount Royal University. So it's really helped me. Like, it added credibility to what I do. So
Thank you, Jody, and thank you for all your service.
Yeah.
hey, no problem.
We really recognize how hard that the committee worked on, especially on that test, revamping the test.
Yeah, that was a big thing too. I forgot that I was part of that project, revamping that this new iteration of the test. And I realized I don't like writing questions for tests. Not my thing. But I did like being part of the conversation. I did end up writing a few of the questions, but I was very honest with Corinne, saying this is outside my comfort zone. I'm having a struggle. So I actually came up with some questions that other people did the background work of validating the answers and stuff, because I didn't have any resources, and we were doing that during COVID. So it was like, where do I go? What do I do? Yeah.
Thank you. And does anyone else want to share, Gwen?
Yes, I will share, and I'm going to date myself because I took the exam in 2003.
Wow.
So I've had it for a very long time. Yeah, it was challenging, but I wanted to take it. I had spent a lot of years in nonprofit, and I knew personally that I wanted to make a transition to corporate. And when I was, in school and graduating, all of the event management courses that are happening right now were not a thing, then. So I wanted to make sure that, I had this broad knowledge of the industry. And so that's why I made the decision to take it. Fortunately, I took it with, there were 13 of us that took it the year I took it. And we all just became this like little close bond. And it's kept going throughout the years. So it not only, allowed, somebody to sort of bounce off this, fear of not passing, but also, it's just a sort of a lifelong kind of friendship thing. So that's why I took it.
All right. Anybody else? All right. We'll move on to Elise. Elise is going to talk about elevating visibility.
Yeah. I'm sure most of you guys already know this, and hopefully you're doing this, but update your email signature, put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your proposals, put it on your speaker bio. I'm hoping if you guys are speaking, by the way, if you're not in the speakers bureau, go sign up for that. We should have put that in the slide deck. Display your certificate somewhere. I have mine. It's actually behind me over there. You guys can't see it, but and I get a lot of questions about what is CSEP. Educate your everybody. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is that we're 300 strong right now. Is that what we are at? Somewhere around there. But I still think we can educate more. So use the CSEP logo. That kind of stuff. And I'll give you some examples. Obviously, the first one is my email signature, and then my LinkedIn headline, and then on my website. So obviously I have a bunch of other stuff, but you guys can see the CSCP. And then this is actually one of our other committee members, Randy. This is what she puts on her proposals. So you can see that the CSCP logo is in the top right corner, and then she's got CCP after her name. So what do you guys want to add to that? Other ideas that you guys can think of?
Yeah,
Okay.
anything we haven't covered?
It was a pretty comprehensive list, but if you guys think of something, drop it in the chat, send us an email, let us know. We'd love to share it with, the new people that are coming in, and to anybody else that is out there that wants to use their CSCP. Okay, Nick, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Excellent. I'm going to talk a little about becoming a thought leader and how you can get more involved and use that CSCP to make the industry better and our association better. So obviously, number one, be involved in ILEA. A lot of you on this call know there are tons of committees and subcommittees, both at the local, international level, that can use support, and is a great way to use your expertise and meet and network with people. Chapter leadership, I'm based in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and was on the board for the past 7 years and just recently rolled off. And of course, after that, they're like, why don't you join our awards committee? And why don't you do this? So there's plenty of ways to get involved in different levels. Speaking at conferences or chapter events, moderating a panel, a plug here for entering either your local awards ceremony or the Esprit Awards, serving as a judge for other chapter awards. I know we frequently will partner with other chapters to judge our awards, and then we kind of return the favor to them. And then there's also the opportunity to be a judge for the Esprit Awards, which is sometimes fun because you get to read through just all the amazing work that people are doing across the chapter. Mentoring emerging event professionals, either through hey, let's just sit down and talk about your career or what you're interested in, or even I know when I was studying for the CSEP, I sat down with different people that were in the industry, but not in areas that I was familiar with, and did informational interviews with them just to hear more about what they did in those positions. And then specifically becoming a thought leader and becoming more involved with CSEP. Not sure if you're aware, but if you go to the ILEA Hub member directory, you can click a little button to filter by CSEPs, and you can find all the CSEPs that are in that directory. And I have talked with colleagues before who, when they're doing work in other cities, will go to that directory to find a florist or a photographer or someone to network with or hire them for a job if they're doing an event in a different city. And then some other specific CSEP support and involvement. We could always use help on the committee with some marketing and promotion. We've talked about exam study groups before, auditing applications and helping with the recertification process. Currently, we're now in a little project of reaching out to lapsed CSEPs. We're still kind of finding that contact information and people obviously moved on to positions or left the industry during COVID and after. So we're still trying to locate if there are people that need to update their information and recertify. And then promoting the CSEP in your chapter. And I know there are some resources, some social media posts, a slide deck that we have ready to go if you ever want to do a presentation or work to promote the CSEP in your own region. And then just wanted to highlight a couple resources that we have. First, if there is anyone that is applying for the CSEP that you know of for the first time, they can use the code NewMayCert for $100 off their application fee this month during National Certification Month. And then if you happen to be in the recertification year now, through June 30th, you can use the code CSEP50 for $50 off your recertification fees. So if you're hearing through the grapevine of people that are in either of those areas, make sure you promote those. And I think we'll go ahead and drop those in the chat when it's convenient, so you have access to that. And then also just want to highlight the LinkedIn group and Facebook groups that we have. And I warned the team that I'm in severe thunderstorm, so my alarm just went off. Sorry about that. But there is LinkedIn group and Facebook group that we have. So we try to be active on all those things and help people connect and network in some other ways. So if there's other ideas that people have for ways to get involved, I'd be happy to open it up for discussion. Otherwise, hand it back to Stacy.
All right. So, yes, a lot of those things, becoming or leaning into your thought leadership, a lot of those things that Nick talked about are things that count towards recertification. So especially for those of you who are newer CSCPs, maybe haven't recertified yet, it's very important to remain involved. And if you haven't already, I would recommend that you look at the recertification requirements. We have a tracking document where you can track your points. And it is highly, highly recommended that you track things as you go through your life, because it's much, much easier to get in the habit of, you go to a conference, you come back and you plug in all of the different classes that you attended, than to, 2.5 years later, be trying to dredge that information up. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all of the pre-prepared content that we have for you, but we wanted to make sure that we allowed time for any kind of questions that anyone might have relating to CSEP. Oh, you have a question, Jody. Hi.
I do. First a statement. Thank you for bringing back Professor or CSEP Emeritus. That's very important to me. I am currently retired, practicing retirement. I like to say practicing because I'm not really not doing anything. I'm the national chair of ILEA Canada. Just had a meeting with Cecile. I'm going to be joining that International Relations Committee. And then I'm teaching at Mount Royal as well. But I won't be full-time events professional for the next 3 years. I just recertified in November. So I'm really grateful that that's there so that I can keep using the designation as a retired person. I think that when you have that kind of accomplishment, it's nice to be able to use it. But the second thing is I still get reached out to by potential CSEPs who are wondering if we're ever going to bring back the CSEP prep course.
Yes. So what we're trying to do is get volunteers on a local level to help with CSEP prep. That is the current plan. So for example, I'm going to the leadership training in Galveston next week. And I was going to hold a informal CSEP prep. It's not really a class, more like a workshop where we basically, it's 4 hours long and we go through the blueprint, the exam blueprint, to help folks identify areas that maybe they need further study and help to guide them towards that further study. But I have had really good feedback about your program. I'm not exactly sure why exactly it was discontinued. So it's interesting to me to hear that you're still interested in doing it.
Absolutely. Like I still have all the course material. I'd be happy to connect with you offline and we can talk about what it was. Like the main reason was they didn't see a difference in the pass fail rate or the number of CSEPs interested or actually applying. But like as evidence, there's how many people right on here that were impacted by the courses that I offered pre that course. And then like when I did the first one was a really shortened form. The one that Nick took was a lot shorter, but the one that Elise and Jason and who was the other one? There was one other person. Erica, thank you.
Yeah.
That was like 4 modules, 4 hours each, 16 hours of content. And it just gave them, and I don't want to speak for them, but the whole thing was designed to give them the confidence to recognize the skills, knowledge, and ability that they had. So yeah, let's you and I talk offline because
Okay.
I think that it would be an amazing tool for people.
Right. Yes. I will make that an action item. Anybody else have any questions? Concerns?
I do have a
Complaints?
question. I'm supposed to be getting recertified I think it's next year. But if for the recertification, then you either have to have the hours or you have to retake the test. Is it the same test that we took before?
It's from the same test bank of questions.
Of
Yes.
questions. Okay.
Yeah, so it would be very, very similar to the test that you took before. But I would encourage you to try to do the other route.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like one of the reasons that the recertification is difficult, I'll say, is because we really like getting the CSEP. We don't want that to be an end point, right? We want that to be the launching point, and we want to encourage involvement and mentorship and continuing education. So I think that it seems really daunting when you're looking at it in a moment in time, but if you are proactive in saying, oh, you know, that sounds like a course that would benefit me, or I'm going to attend this conference, and get, you know, not only additional learning, but also it like charges your batteries and you meet people, and it's, you know, the networking. I think that it helps you continue on a trajectory that is gonna help keep you at the top of your game, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so Florence has a question in the chat, which is a really good question. There is a push to update the test for sure. The problem is that it is a really daunting you know, it's a very steep thing to do. If you talk to Jody or some of the people who were on the committee that did it before, it was a very heavy lift and very, very time consuming. When I started as the committee chair a couple years ago, that was my main focus. That's what I was most interested in, because I also, like Jody, I'm an instructor. I teach at Austin Community College. I teach special event design and technical production for events. So I thought, you know, this will be great. I really, really, really want to help with this test. But the very first step is that you have to get training in how to write questions. So it's not like anybody can just pop in there and start making suggestions. And then all of those questions have to have the research backing it up, explaining, you know, what sources you can point to that show that correct answer is legitimate. So it's so right now with ILEA, we are in a little bit of a budget crunch, and we were not able to move forward because of the pandemic and the drop in membership and the loss of revenue associated with that. We don't have the resources to be able to pay for that training. So that is a goal. That is something that we're working towards. And right now, what I'm trying to do is collect people that want to be a part of that initiative. So we absolutely are focused on updating the test. It's just a lot steeper of a climb than we had initially thought. But we haven't lost sight of that goal. Jody.
Yeah, one of the things we really tried to do when we were working on the test design was to not date it. So the scenarios are they're pretty broad, from like smaller events to large scale events. But they're like, you don't have to know a price point of something, because that would be fluctuating, right, over year after year after year. And so I think that it's still very relevant, and I think that there was even a rewrite or an addition of a bank of questions a couple of years after we first launched, that Corinne may have worked on. And one of the things that one of the projects that was completed was the updating of the practice tests, so they had a closer alignment to the real experience. And so I think that I don't think you have to redesign the whole test. I think that if anything, there might be some review of the questions, or added new scenarios to some of the new. I think risk and safety would be things that would have to be looked at. But we were in the middle of a pandemic, so we already were focusing on risk and safety, and and then like the difference in what event engagement means now and what it did pre-pandemic and even during the pandemic. There was definitely a focus on virtual events during that time when we were test ready. So my recollection is we did do our due diligence in trying to be all encompassing and not date it and not have it region specific and stuff, but like a refresh with more questions within the question bank. Growing that question bank would be good. But it is a project and it is costly.
Yeah,
Because going back to Yardstick to ask them to do more work would mean more money, right? That's the company
right.
that you used, and I think the platform seemed to be working at that time. I don't know what the experience of the current incumbents are, but it's a big thing.
Yeah,
So if
and
you're looking for people, like put me on that list. I'd love to, because I have the knowledge of what we did back then, and then I bet you everybody would come back and say, these are the learning opportunities we had, and this is what we think, and just reviewing that question bank again. Not a bad project at the 5. Is it even been 5 years? Isn't it been 4? Wasn't it 2021?
2020
2020
is when the test launched.
Okay.
And yes, to be clear, what we're focused on is adding questions to the test bank.
Yeah.
It's specifically in certain areas like risk management, as you said. So yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, some of the people that I've talked to that were on that committee were like, I helped and now I'm done. Like,
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Just because it was such a huge, heavy lift. I mean, they really put a lot of time. I feel like the more people that you get, the more, the less of a burden would be. Like if you can write 5 questions and there's a bunch of people, as opposed to here, please write 20 questions. So
because we were supposed to write 10 questions each. I think it was the question writing part, because I started with the redesign of the blueprint. I started at the very beginning.
I just got to give you a shout out there. That blueprint is very comprehensive, and I just think I can tell that a lot of thought went into that.
Yeah, we really wanted to strip it down, and we wanted it to be more than just a list to memorize. We wanted it to be focused on the knowledge, skills, and ability that were required by an event professional. And then the course design was built off that blueprint. I still use that model. So that blueprint has developed a 5-phase approach, a 5 or 6 phase approach, depending on who I'm teaching for, and that is built from that blueprint. And then all those elements within it is what I use when I'm talking to new professionals or even existing professionals about how they need to prepare. So it's like, it was a deep thought, and there was quite a dynamic. I think there was 15 or 16 of us in Toronto the first time we met, and there was a lot of debate. There's even a little bit of yelling about what needed to be included and what didn't be. So and so I was there from that inception all the way through to the question writing. And the question writing was the one thing where I kind of went, okay, this is like, I'm not doing a great job at this. And I know that I'm not doing a great job. So like, are there other people that could do something? So I gave them like concepts, and then I think a couple people picked up what I was putting down, and then they were managed to write it. But it's I would be willing to lean into that. Again, there's a little bit like, I guess we have to pick and choose too what we're going to do, like where I would focus my energy, because we don't want to be I don't want a conflict of interest of any kind either.
Another comment in the chat from Jason. I agree. We have seen a really significant increase in our membership. Folks are coming back, new folks are coming in. We're very excited about that, and that really helps the organization thrive. So pushing for membership, yes. CSEP month. We do focus on CSEP during the month of May because it is certification month. We and that is an annual thing. This will be at least the second year that we have done that push and that focus. Yes, so let your chapters know, that speaking of chapters and resources, all the chapter leaders have been provided with a link to a resource toolkit. And in there is like a CSEP 101 presentation. So my recommendation would be for any CSEP in any chapter to reach out, and it doesn't even have to be this month, but to say, hey, let me present for 10 minutes at the beginning of your meeting. And they have this PowerPoint to speak to, and just to make sure that the folks that are in their chapters are aware of CCP and can get a really quick little rundown of what it is. So yes, and then we also really encourage chapters to reach out to CSEPs for as a resource for speaking, just generally on topics that they prefer to speak at. It's a nice stepping stone to speak to your chapter in preparation for maybe speaking to another chapter or speaking at a conference. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I hope to see and meet more of you in person. We are part of an elite network, and we have that in common. And I think that that's really great. I would encourage you to reach out to me personally. I didn't think to put my contact information, but I'm pretty sure you can find me on LinkedIn in particular. If you have any other questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, we would love to hear about them. Jody, if you, as you go through the emeritus process, I would love to have any feedback that you have on getting that emeritus designation. If there's anything in the process that you see that could be improved. Same
That'll
with
be it's a couple years away yet, because I
Okay.
just recertified in November.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I guess this will be the last time I get to recertify. And then all of a sudden that announcement came out, and I'm like, cool, this is good.
Yeah. Yes. And the same with the recertification process. We've actually put a lot of time and energy into making the recertification process cleaner, clearer. We have a PDF that's like step by step by step to really help people when they get to that point to make the process easy. We have right now a deal going on. If you know somebody that lapsed and was like, oh, I can't believe I let that lapse, we're having a grace period, a one-time grace period from now until the end of June. So it's this fiscal year. If folks want to go through that recertification process after that window had closed for them, it's open again just for this short time. Just, we had a pandemic and all of that. Like if someone maybe wasn't sure that they were going to stay in the business, but now they're sure, they have that opportunity to get that certification back. Any other last thoughts before we adjourn? Thank you so much for attending. Thank you to my co-presenters. And keep up the great work, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.